sissies, do your thing, honey.
Smeđi Šećer, najslađa emisija u eteru. Svaki ponedeljak u 21 sat. Gospodin Smeđi Šećer kuha topli soul i jazz, ljuti funk i blues. Budite na 87,6 MHz i neka med curi iz vaših zvučnika. Smeđi Šećer.
Like a sex machine, man.
Ponedeljkom u 21.
Good evening, Mr. Withers. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'd like to welcome you to the Brown Sugar Radio Show and host it on the Radio Trsat in a small town of Rijeka, Croatia. And, well, how are you feeling today? It's 12:30 p.m., I believe, in California.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. It's a nice rainy day outside, so I can sit in and look out at the rain and talk to you.
Oh, great. Well, I'd like to thank you in advance for doing this interview on Radio Trsat, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate it.
Well, hello to your listeners, and I didn't know anybody in Croatia knew who I was, you know.
Yeah, you'd be surprised because your radio hits are always on the air somewhere. You know, it's radio, so sorry. I'm a bit, it's my first big interview, so if I block or say something strange, it's because I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. And if I say something strange, it's because I'm probably just strange.
Well, okay, Mr. Withers, I'm gonna start the interview with you now and ask you a few questions. I'll just say that when looking at different soul artists from the 70s era, you definitely stand out because of your approach to music making, be it being yourself all the time or using the singer-songwriter idiom without the signature soul elements, the big horns, the constant syncopation, and what's the main reason your music stood out?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was because, probably different because I'm from a small town. You know, a lot of people that make music are from, you know, big cities like Memphis or New York or Chicago, and I'm a small town guy, you know. Okay,
I understand that. And how come the singer-songwriter approach took a grip on you?
Well, because I wanted to sing, and I needed some songs, so I thought, like, well, maybe I can write some. So it all kind of came together that way for me, you know.
I understand.
And then once I started to try to do it, I kind of liked it, you know.
Yeah,
because you can, you know, you can say things.
Yes, and you can reach people and express your feelings more naturally.
Yeah.
Okay, and throughout your music, there's a deep connection to the blues. How much has the blues influenced you in your songwriting?
Well, you know what? If you grow up in the South, and the blues has actually influenced a lot of things. Jazz, you know, a lot of English guys like Mick Jagger and the Beatles, and so the blues was something that was just sort of leaked into a lot of different music, you know, things like rock and roll, all that stuff was, you know, sort of blues based.
Yes.
But I didn't know I was how much the blues influenced me until later, because I always thought of the blues as like, you know, a traditional heavy down south blues, but it's a lot broader than I thought it was.
Yes, it's definitely broader, and it's felt, especially in your song about Lucy, or the great song which is one of my favorites of yours, "Better Off Dead."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those things. You walk around and you listen to the news and you see people, and sometimes you just think like, well, maybe I would like to say something about that,
Yeah, I can understand that, and those two songs are actually the songs which I think that separate you the most from the other soul artists of the era, because you can't hear those topics approached in that way.
Yeah. Well, I have a tendency to, without thinking about it, like something like Grandma's Hands, usually people write about just boy-girl romance stuff. So I've kind of gotten away with maybe writing about different stuff, Lean on Me is just friendship,
Yeah. And
maybe it's because I couldn't get a girlfriend, so I had to write it.
Then because you couldn't get a girlfriend, you wrote making
I wrote
love
about
to your
my
mind.
grandmother,
Okay, and when talking about Grandma's Hands, and especially the Railroad Man, person listening to your music can feel that you really like to recollect to your childhood, and those songs in some segments actually do have a playful feel to them. So
yeah, well, when I was a kid growing up, the railroad ran right by my house, and so we played on the tracks. We would play on the trains and stuff, hop on the trains. And so there were always very interesting people that hung around railroads,
yeah,
like hobos. Are you familiar with that term?
yes.
Yeah, and so they were very interesting people. And then a lot of stuff happens around the railroads. Sometimes people get hit by the train, For some reason or another. A lot of people would come down by the railroad to drink.
Yeah.
And,
So the railroad is really an inspiring topic to you, then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because sometimes we would jump on the train and ride, to another town, and then jump on the train and ride back. Well, when you're a kid, maybe 12, 13 years old, that's exciting stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
And the men that hung around the railroad and drank, they were always interesting to us kids because they would have stories, they were characters, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could really find a person or a topic around the railroad you can write a song about, right?
Oh yeah, with interesting people around the railroad.
So when
then you can dream, you can dream around the railroad because you see the trains going by and you wonder, where's the train going, what's it like in different places? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely inspiring.
Well, it's just like talking to you now. So, it makes me wonder, like, what is Croatia like?
Well, Croatia is a beautiful small country, and I definitely recommend to you that someday you come and visit and soak up the Mediterranean sun and drink the fine wine we have in Croatia.
Yeah, there you go. See?
And it's also a gloomy day here today, and it's been snowing yesterday, so you get a little feel about weather conditions here.
Yeah.
Okay, so when talking about your discography, you have two distinctly separable periods, as I like to call it, the pre- and post-adjustments era of Bill Withers.
Yeah.
So, as Adjustments LP is being played tonight on the show, I couldn't help but feel that it's sort of a meditative album. It's dark, and yet it's soothing. So, what's the main feeling which drove you to make such music on Adjustments LP?
Well, by that time, my life had changed, you know. I had been in the Navy 9 years, and I had just been this regular working guy. And then by then, I had been in the music business for a few years. And it was very different because I was a little older when I started to do this. So in my mid-30s, I had this new life that I had to try to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So I was processing all of the changes in my life. You know, it's almost like having to learn to live as a new person. Because being in the Navy or working in the factory is a lot different from traveling on the road and playing music and, you know, all the show business and all that stuff, you know.
So on the Adjustments album, were you maybe a bit tiresome of the music industry, and you used a bit of an introspective approach to that album?
Yeah, and also there was the loss of innocence in my life, you know.
Okay.
Because the whole show business thing can be kind of rough, you know.
So what is the roughest thing that happened to you from that period?
Well, you know, regular working people are very honest, you know, and life is a lot simpler. And then when you get into something like show business where there's money and glamour and attention and stuff, you realize that life is not so innocent anymore, you know?
Yeah, I understand. So the Adjustments is then just your thoughts on seeing the other side of the show business then?
Yeah, in fact, the whole title of the album reflects that. I was trying to adjust to my new life.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
And I missed my old life, you know?
Well, one of the most funkiest live performances I've seen to this date is your performance of Use Me in London. And,
yeah.
Oh, the groove is melting butter. The drummer can't keep the smile off his face, and you're feeling the music on a practically, I would say, a tactile level. So what's the story behind that show?
Well, you know, England has always been very nice to me. People were always very, you know, so when somebody likes you, it makes you feel more comfortable, you know.
Okay, so...
And as far as the drummer, James Gadsden, he's always been fun like that.
So it's been fun to hang around him.
Yeah, everybody likes Gadsden, you know.
It sure looks like a guy you could go out on a beer and have fun.
Oh, let me tell you a funny story. Years ago, we were flying from, I think, maybe Amsterdam to somewhere. In other words, we were in Europe. So this lady on the plane wanted to go to bathroom. So she had this baby. So she walks down the whole plane, and she hands the baby to Gadsden to hold her baby when she went in the bathroom.
Okay. This is starting to
So
get
she
interesting.
chose him over all the people. You know, there were women sitting there, but she hands the baby to Gadsden.
Okay.
So that says something about Gadsden, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
So we were laughing because there's Gadsden sitting there with this baby, you know.
Well, from that footage, it seems that it's that type of person, definitely.
Yeah.
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 And I wanted to ask. Yeah, go on, please.
So whenever anybody sees any of those old videos, they always talk about Gadsden.
Because he's having the most fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing about that show, I wanted to ask you, weren't you a bit hot in that long-sleeved turtleneck jumper, playing such a hot groove?
Yeah.
Because it seemed a bit strange to me to playing such a big concert and you're sweating and the groove is getting heavy and...
Yeah, well, you know, being from California, when you go someplace where the weather's a little cold, maybe you wear long sleeves, you know?
Okay, I understand. So, another question I have to ask you is about one of my favorite tracks of yours, and that's Make Love to Your Mind from the album Making Music.
Yeah.
That song is almost 7 minutes groove monster to which everybody gets hooked on the first bass drum stomp. So, listening to it, I get a feeling that it wasn't supposed to be so long, but the groove in the studio was right, and the band just kept on going and going. So
yeah, sometimes when you're having fun, you know, you just play because, hey.
It's music.
Yeah.
And we're musicians and this feels good.
Yeah.
Right?
But I have to tell you a funny story. You mentioned my sweating with this.
Yeah.
Well, I used to feel bad about that. But then I found out that women liked it, so I didn't mind sweating.
Great. Okay, so how come you slowly went in the shade of the music industry so that it almost feels like it was intentional? Was it intentional?
Yeah, because I got older, and then you know, life takes on different things. You know, it's like your priorities change. And so I just kind of, I don't know, I guess I just changed, you know, with age.
Okay.
Like now, you know, people say, oh, when are you going to go? Well, I'm in my 70s now. And so when I was young, it was fun, you know.
Okay.
But
so do you miss the showbiz?
Not really, you know. If I miss it, then I'll try to do it again.
Oh, okay, that's definitely you.
I liked it when I was doing it, you know. But now it's just a different time of life, you know.
Okay.
Some people do it for forever. Just
they don't know when to stop, when to call it quits.
Maybe they just like it, you know. They want to keep doing that forever. But when I got older, I wanted to do other things, you
Okay, so what does Bill Withers do today?
I don't know, and that's the whole fun of it.
Great.
You know, don't you think it would be fun just to wake up every day and say, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I don't care?
Yeah, I hope that will happen in my life someday, definitely.
Yeah, you know.
So, I have to ask you about your records, which haven't received either a CD or a vinyl reissue. Because when in pursuit for your records, let's say on eBay or other online auctioning services, I couldn't help to notice that your albums don't linger long online and they quickly get picked up. So is there a chance one day those adjustments and post-adjustments album being reissued on vinyl or CD?
Yeah, maybe. That's the record company's decision, you know? So, I don't know. My wife does all that business stuff, you know?
Okay.
In fact, I'm in her office now.
Okay.
Because I never hardly come to the office, you know? So, maybe she can get him to do that.
Yeah, I think that that would be a good thing because, as I told you a second ago, your records are in demand.
Well, maybe when I die, maybe they'll do it because that's what they always do. Do you notice when somebody dies, they put up?
Yeah.
They put everything out, you know.
Well, I hope we don't have to wait for that.
But you know what? It's funny because a lot of people think I'm dead already.
No.
Because my wife gets a lot of calls. Different people call me from time to time and say, "Hey, man, I read where you were dead." I said, "Well, I don't think so." You know?
I'm just sitting here thinking what I'm going to do today, so...
Yeah.
So, what's the story behind Still Bill the movie?
I don't know. You know, that I wasn't planning on them doing that, but they were going to do this concert in Brooklyn, and these guys kept following me around and, you know, asking me stuff, and the next thing I know, they had a movie, you know, so I said, well, okay.
Okay, and how are the reactions to the movie?
I don't know, you know, I haven't really kept up with it that much, you know. In fact, I got to go to New York next week. You know, they want me to see, because I have to watch them, David, because otherwise they'll have me traveling all over the place talking to people about this movie, and I don't want to go anywhere, you know.
Okay.
You know? They're trying to put me to work, you know.
Okay.
So,
and you don't really care about that right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to control these movie guys so they don't bother me all the time, you know.
Okay, well, I haven't seen the movie, but I think it's going to be great, and I know our listeners are waiting to see it also. And well, we're approaching the end of our interview, and I wanted to ask you maybe one more thing. Do you still write songs?
Yeah, in fact, I got a song out. George Benson has a song on his new album of mine.
Okay.
Called "A Telephone Call Away."
Telephone call.
And then I did some stuff for Jimmy Buffett, you know. So I do little things here and there.
Just for fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and...
Yeah, you gotta have some fun, David.
Okay, and... Oh, one more thing. I know our listeners are going to be really interested to hear this. Was it fun hanging around with Muhammad Ali?
Oh, yeah. The most fun.
Like what?
Because he talks all the time, and or then he talked all the time, and it was just fun, because he was like a one-man circus,
Well, great, and this is it, Mr. Withers. I want to thank you for your time, and
well, thank you, David, and hello to the people of Croatia. And so if I come over there, I'm going to come looking for you.
Yes, you do that. You do that. You do that, and I'll show you around. I'll show you around. I'll show you the beauties of the Adriatic coast. And thank you for your willingness to be in our little radio show. And we hope it was a pleasant experience, and that people in Croatia are going to get a chance to see Steel Builder movie and learn a little bit more about you. And of course, as you said before, we hope that you visit Croatia. So it was fun.
Thank you, David, and you have a good day. In fact, have a good month.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, David.
Goodbye. Thank you.
You take care.